protocol in ko ituloy ang mga kababayan natin ng mga babala. As this preparations also include the prepositioning of health logistics, the preparation of 674 schools as evacuation centers, yung ating stockpile of relief items and standby funds amounting to 969 million pesos, the prepositioning of road clearing teams from the DPWH, as well as the monitoring of the status of roads and bridges, the monitoring of the status of various ports and airports, and the preparation and deployment of more than 3,600 search and rescue teams from the AFP, the Bureau of Fire Protection, the National Police, and the Coast Guard to augment the local search and rescue teams in the different local government units. Nagkaroon din po ng preparation in case nakakailanganin ang call for international assistance. This was done by the Department of Foreign Affairs. At ang ating pong iba't ibang mga ahensya ng pamahalaan also prepared the respective resources for deployment dito po sa operations natin. Ito po yung na-mention ko po last Saturday, members of the cabinet as well as our executive director NDRRMC visited Siargao, and part of included in that mission was to re-establish communications po through the setup of our VSAT. Kaya po makikita niyo po dyan in the photos are the meetings between the Surigao local government, the Siargao local government, here at the NDRRMC and the Emergency Operations Center of Caraga. We also took note of the President's mission to the different affected provinces back in, last December 18. The Chief Executive visited Surigao City and was met by local Chief Executives from Surigao del Norte and Dinagat Islands. Joining the Chief Executive are our disaster managers coming from the NDRRMC level. And also, December 19, the President visited Inabanga in Bohol, and part of ito pong visits po na ito included his inspection on the damages incurred by in the localities, as well as the delivery of additional relief items, family food packs, to augment the supply of the local government. In those visits po, nag-utos po ang ating Pangulo ng mga priority actions po for the local government units that have been affected by the storm. His instructions for Surigao and Siargao were as follows: the assessment of the extent of damages in the area, as well as to address the concerns of the local government unit. He also designated crisis managers in Surigao del Norte and Dinagat Islands from the cabinet level. He also ordered po yung paggamit ng mga sea assets po natin, ships and all resources to deliver supplies, equipment, and food. Related po to that, let me share with you po the report of the Philippine Coast Guard on these instructions. The Philippine Coast Guard disembarked a total of 10 vessels to various locations. One of its vessel, the BRP Tubataha, arrived in Cebu this morning carrying shelter items, food, family food packs, generator sets, solar-powered items, medicine, portable stretchers, sanitizing and hygiene items, pati po yung equipment na gagamitin for search and rescue. We also received report that BRP Gabriela Silang left yesterday from the Port of Manila and will be arriving tomorrow dyan po sa saan ba ito? We'll be making stopovers in Surigao, Dinagat, Siargao, Southern Leyte, Bohol, and Cebu to unload various food items, including bottled mineral water, yung food items, hygiene items, generator sets, and different items that will be used for the search and rescue operations or relief operations being done in the area. Dumating na din po ang ating BRP Sindangan dyan sa Siargao at nag-unload din po ng bigas, mineral water, assorted goods, canned goods, at additional po na ating boots on the ground, PNP and Army, to support the local relief operations. We have BRP Cabra safely arriving in Limasawa Port. Meron po tayong mga kababayan na nagpo-post sa social media that Limasawa needs assistance, and this has already been actioned through the support of our counterparts in the Philippine Coast Guard. Nakapag-unload po tayo doon ng family food packs, 14.3 tons of family food packs. Galing po sa DSWD po yan, at meron po tayong augmentation personnel coming from the Army, the PNP, the disaster managers in OCD Region 8, at to provide augmentation support dun sa ating mga kasamahang disaster managers. Also, we have a Coast Guard vessel leaving from Iloilo going to Negros Occidental to deliver 800 boxes of family food packs to the local government in that area. Part of the missions din po na ginawa ng ating ating Coast Guard in Siargao, aside from the unloading of relief items and additional support, we have received information that it was already ferrying stranded individuals, to include foreign nationals who were naabutan po nitong bagyo, ang pagdating ng bagyong Odette doon sa Siargao. As of December 20, we received information that 29 foreign nationals have been assisted for transportation out of the island. We're still determining po kung saan po sila nagpunta. Dinala ng ating mga kasamaan sa Coast Guard, but we received information that some of them had reached Manila and some near locations where they can avail of flights going back to their specific destinations. We also received information po that port management authorities that a number of ports have started operations po after activities done for the conduct of the immediate repair of some of their equipment. So far po, in the Port Management Authority of Bicol, all ports are operational except the base port of Legazpi. Passenger vessels flying the Legazpi Rapu-Rapu Albay route have not been allowed to sail as of this day due to gale warning. The Port Management Authority of Misamis Oriental confirms that all ports are operational but with reported damage. The ports of Balingoan, Misamis Oriental, Port of Benoni, Camiguin, Port of Balbagon, Camiguin, Port of Kinsiliban in Camiguin. We also received information from the Port Management Authority of Negros Occidental, Bacolod. All ports are operational all ports are operational, but in the Port of Bulado in Gihulngan, a vessel ran aground. Hence, the trips have not yet resumed as of this point. The Port Management Authority of Bohol reports that normal operations have resumed in the Port of Tagbilaran, the Port of Hagna, the Port of Katagbacan Loon, and Port of Ubay. But the Port of Ubay operations are for daytime operations only. Some ports po ay hindi pa normal operations. Port of Tubigon, Port of Hetape, Port of Tapal, and Port of Talibon. For the non-operational ports, clearing operations are still ongoing. Some of the offices of the Port Management Authorities there are totally damaged. Lighting system is down, and PTBs are totally damaged. The Port of Tubigon is targeted to be opened on Tuesday with the following activities: the manual operation for collection and marine transaction operations, temporary shelters where passengers will be set up once the debris are cleared. We're still waiting for reports coming from the other port management authorities relative to their post-storm activities as of this point. Ito pong going back to the directives of the President, the NDRRMC continues to coordinate with the other agencies of the government to ensure that all of these instructions are complied with. We will be having a reporting to the President of the status of our compliances I think within the day, and we will be sharing the details of that reporting later today. And the priorities set for Bohol, if I may, the provision of rice and water, the provision of shelter assistance during the assessment done by the President, with the President during that time of his visit, 75% of the houses in island or coastal barangays were damaged. Part of his instructions include the provision of more funding for typhoon response and recovery to assist Bohol, the immediate provision of 200 units of 15 horsepower generators for the use of the water refilling systems, kasi may mga areas po doon na they're having trouble with water services. And a forward priority was given for the following months: the reconstruction and repair of damaged infrastructure, additional AICS funding, and agricultural assistance to farmers and fisherfolk. Ginawa po ng ating mga disaster councils po in preparation of the storm, for the storm. They assisted in the conduct of the preemptive evacuation as well as the emergency evacuation, yung search rescue operations po natin, the clearing operations, and the provision of food and non-food items, and camp management. Ang ating pong mga regional disaster councils in covering areas which were not affected by the storm are also preparing to provide support and assistance doon sa ating mga communities which were directly affected by Typhoon Odette. Shown are the photos of the regions in Calabar, disaster councils in Calabarzon, the Mimaropa, Bicol region, Western Visayas, Eastern Visayas, and Caraga. We also took note of the activities done by the local government units through their disaster management offices, disaster management councils. As early as December 10, 11, and 12, the NDRRMC informed the local government units that there are more than 10,000 barangays spread across the areas that are expected to be affected by the storm, which are flood-prone and landslide-prone. Ang ginawa po ng ating mga counterparts sa LDRRMCs natin ay nagsagawa po ng malakihang preemptive evacuation doon sa kanilang mga lugar. This is the reason why we had an immediate more than 100,000 people evacuated in the first few days of the preparations for the arrival of Typhoon Odette. Their activities also included the preparation of the evacuation centers and the management of the evacuation centers nung dumating po ang ating mga kababayan doon. They also managed the needs of the affected population. This refers to the distribution of the family food packs, the non-food items, the reminders for the regular use of the face masks and other sanitation agents to ensure COVID-19 protection. The local governments also spearheaded the local search and rescue activities doon sa areas po nila. And we are happy to report that the uniformed services that had been prepositioned previously were able to support these local search and rescue activities. Immediately after the storm po, nagsagawa po ng clearing operations ang ating mga local engineering DPWH teams doon sa kanilang mga munisipalidad para po to assist in the clearing of the roads for the transport of vehicles, transport of services ay makarating doon sa kanilang mga nasasakupan. And nung paglipas din po ng bagyo, nagsimula pong magsagawa ng rapid damage assessment doon sa mga localities. At yan po yung nagbunsod ng pagpapadala ngayon ng mga ulat dito sa NDRRMC. Patuloy po itong isinasagawa ng ating mga kasamahan sa local government units and the regional disaster councils, the provincial disaster councils. Kaya po, tuloy-tuloy pa rin po ang pasok ng mga pag-uulat ngayong panahon na ito. At yan po ang ating pag-uulat ng ating mga aktibidad po for this day at the NDRRMC level. Gusto rin po namin palang ipaabot po sa ating mga kasamahan at mga kababayan na nakikinig ng ating briefing that the NDRRMC and other agencies of the government in response to the messages that we're receiving na marami pong kababayan natin ang gusto magpadala ng tulong. Kaya po the NDRRMC opened its donations hotline as well as the donations focal person para po i-facilitate po itong ating pagbibigay tulong ng ating mga kababayan. We also welcome the activities being done by the private sector to gather and send family food packs and other needed items sa ating mga affected communities. We would like to give a warning to our countrymen po that pag ganitong panahon, meron din po mga nananamantala at kunwari magsasagawa po ng mga relief donation drives, pero hindi po natin matukoy kung saan napupunta ang mga salapi na ating dinodonate. Ating pong pag-ingatan ito at tayo po ay magbigay ng ating mga donasyon sa mga pinagkakatiwalaan nating mga ahensya at organisasyon, mga foundations na may subok ng track record when it comes to relief support or these kinds of activities. Ayaw po natin masayang yung mga tulong na ibibigay ng mga kababayan po natin. But here at the national level, as what was provided for or explained by the President during the previous NDRRMC meeting, even though we have concerns in funding, ginagawan po natin ng paraan para matustusan po lahat ng mga pangangailangan ng mga kababayan natin. The DSWD still has more than 900 million pesos worth of family food packs and non-food items and standby funds. Each agency of the government involved in the response is using its budget for this purpose. At kung umabot man po sa yugto na nagkakaroon na po ng pagkasaid ng ating pondo, ang pangako po ng pamahalaan bilang na binitawan ng ating Pangulo ay gagawa pa rin po tayo ng paraan para matustusan ng mga pangangailangan na ito. Hindi lang po sa buong operations po na ito, but also to facilitate the rehabilitation and recovery of those communities. So yun po ang ating ulat po muna ngayong araw tungkol po dito sa ating operations for Typhoon Odette. Pwede ba ako uminom ng tubig? So, thank you very much. As a sir. Yun nga, sir. There are so many items po kasi and reports are still coming in at the operations center, and we're giving time for our colleagues dyan sa NDRRMC Operations Center para i-consolidate pa yung mga parating po na report coming from our counterparts and counterpart agencies. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are now opening the floor for your questions on this matter of our current operations. Let's start, Asik Munilla, if you're okay. We have a question here coming from our friend from the, sorry, not armed forces, from the French news agency, Sir Cecile Morelia. Can we share information about the sweeper flights arranged by government to evacuate foreign tourists from the disaster zones? How many people are being moved out? What nationalities and what stage are we on this? Do we know if any foreign casualties dead or injured or missing? Actually, sir, if I can answer that, doon po kasi sa ating pag-uulat coming from our friends in the Philippine Coast Guard, we have received information that 29 foreign nationals have been evacuated from Siargao. Yes, we have an initial list of tourists that had been identified and in good condition. I guess these tourists are being assisted now by the Philippine Coast Guard. We have 2 Swiss nationals, 2 Australian nationals, 1 British national. We have 1 Vietnam national, 1 US. 3 US nationals. We have 1 Danish national, 3 French nationals, 1 Singaporean. 1, 2, let me revise po that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 French nationals po pala yung ina-assistihan, and then we have 2 Danish nationals. We have 1 Belgian national as well. We have 1 Czech national, 1 Chinese national, 1 Russian, 1 Dutch national, 1 Canadian national. Sorry po, yung ating British nationals po pala 2. And they are all in good condition, as was reported to po by the Philippine Coast Guard. There's an ongoing effort din po on the part of the local government units and the disaster managers there to ensure the safety of our foreign tourists who are in Siargao. Ang kinuwento po sa atin, si Cornelia, ng ating kasamahan from the Disaster Council of Caraga, that the embassies have called their offices at so far naman po, according to the report of our friends in the Caraga Disaster Council, wala naman po pa silang nabalitaan na foreign tourist na part of any casualty in their area. Thank you, sir. We have another question here from Sir Martin. What are the challenges? Why the casualty count of NDRRMC has a huge gap compared to data from other counterpart agencies such as the PNP? How is our coordination with other government agencies to counter-check your data with theirs? Yan, sir.
Actually, ang sagot ko nga dyan is the reporting. Magkaiba po kasi yung as you see, PNP is a national agency. Meron silang deployed unit sa lahat ng lugar, no? Sa lahat ng munisipyo, syudad, probinsya, and region. The DRRMC, ang reports po nila goes through, supposedly, it should be submitted sa DILG, which is the member agency ng NDRRMC. And sa amin naman, ang structure would be, from the national, we have the national Dream Team, the regional Dream Team, the provincial Dream Team, and the municipal Dream Team. The challenges there, sabi ko nga, is about reporting. Why? Still, for report nga kanina ni Sir Mark, no? Around ilan pang lugar ang ang walang connection sa ngayon, telecom sa connection sa ngayon, Mark. So ito po yung mga ibang lugar na hindi natin nakukuha yung datos, no? And ang kinakount po ng NDRRMC ay yung mga reports na nare-receive namin. No? We cannot actually, although naririnig naman namin yan sa sa media, but we cannot ascertain the truthfulness of the number being dished out because merong parameters po, no? And mahirap din kasi magpangalan ng okay, mag-number ka or magpangalan at maybe may names yung binibigay ng PNP na hindi talaga siya verified on the ground, no? Because ayaw nating pumatay ng tao sa sa report. Much more, ayaw naman hindi nating bumuhay ng patay, no? So just bear with us on this one. Actually, we are alam namin that this will become contentious, and we are actually together with Mr. Mark. Sabi ko sa kanya, how about doing an NDRRMC, when we say NDRRMC press briefing, we do it with the other agencies like DILD, DSWD, DICT, DOE, DNR, for them to be able to answer directly sa inyong mga queries, no? Because sometimes they have the data, and the enormity of the data that they have, hindi yan lahat na i-report sa amin. So kumbaga nasasala na nila. So it would be better. I hope we will be able to arrange that sooner para mas maganda yung ating kwentuhan, ano? we will not be talking about differences of numbers, but rather we will be talking about, kumbaga magkaroon tayo ng magandang picture on what really happened dito sa bagyo na ito. Like yung tinatanong ninyo is this the next to Yolanda? Ito na ba yung pinaka-devastating na bagyo? I cannot answer that now because, di ba, we cannot prejudge based on the reports na sinasabi sa ngayon. Because we have processes to do that. And bear with us with that. And I hope sana bukas or the following day magawa natin yan, the press briefing with other agencies para mas maganda ang kwentuhan natin.
Yes, sir. We will make that happen. Our team is working on that one to have that to make the necessary arrangements for that. With regard to question number 1 din po for Sir Martin, hindi naman po dinidiscount ni NDRRMC yung reports po na yan coming from our counterpart agencies. What we're doing right now is we're treating that as a projection on how many casualties can we actually expect, given the continuing verification process being done by the local government units and our disaster managers. But we'd like to say that at the NDRRMC level, here you will be able to encounter what is actually the verified or the finalized detail of the count. Kasi po, kahit napakarami pong pinapalabas na impormasyon yan, we would like to understand that the local government units and our counterparts in the PNP are still doing continuing verification procedures. Kasi ngayon po, given that there are areas that have problems in communication, kung ano-ano po mga bali-balita ang umiikot at natatanggap ng ating mga kababayan. So we want to have a defined count here at the NDRRMC level. That's our main objective. Kaya po hindi basta-basta natin sinasama itong mga numeros na ito up until such time that number 1, we receive the official report of those fatalities, missing and injured parties. And afterwards, when we receive the report confirming the verification and validation of the situation of those information, kung na-validate na po ba itong ating mga kababayan, ang impormasyon na ito about sa mga kababayan natin ito at veripikado po. We want to make sure po that all of these details are verified and validated because yung mga pamilya po na naiwan o mismo yung mga na-injure po mismo, meron po silang financial assistance na matatanggap po sa pamahalaan as a consequence of this accident that they have encountered. Ayan. Another question po from Sir Cecile. We received information, is Mactan Airport now operational? In the case of the Mactan Airport, Asik Munilla, sir, it's already, it has resumed operations. Yes, it has resumed operations on December 19. However, nagpalabas po sila ng advisory yesterday as of 3 p.m. na nagdadatingan po ang passengers sa Mactan Airport, but the airport cannot guarantee na may public transport na masasakyan ito mga nagdadatingan na to that will ferry them from the airport to their specific destinations in the province of Cebu. So nagpalabas lang po ng ganitong warning dahil we're seeing that because of the impact of the storm dyan sa metropolitan area ng Cebu and its contiguous municipalities and cities, may problem pa po sa local transport dahil may mga ongoing pa po ang road clearing operations in those areas. At yung ating which airports are still closed, we're still getting a complete, we're still waiting for the complete listing of the status of the different airports. But as far as I've heard, sir, di ba po ang airport sa Bohol, I think the Panglao Airport is ready to resume operations na din po or has resumed operations given that mabilis po yung pagkukumpuni at pagsasaayos na ginawa ng ating mga kasamahan doon. A number of airports have reported that they have sustained damages but nire-remedyohan po nila para mabalik yung at least yung pinaka-basic na mga services po nila. For example, in Siargao Airport, it has sustained, kung nakita niyo po yung mga photos na binigay po namin kahapon from our communications teams, medyo matindi po yung tama ng Siargao Airport, domestic airport, but the airport manager was able to confirm that they're ready pa rin to accept some flights to assist yung exodus ng ating mga tourists na naabutan po ng bagyo doon, and to welcome the military aircraft who will be bringing in additional support to those communities. Another sinasagot din pala ni Asik Monilla sa chat. Ito mga question na to. Thank you very much, sir. Yes, sir. Mukhang napahaba yung litanya ko kanina, kaya at least nasagot nyo na po. Kanina, we have another question from Sir Christian Manyo. Saan po kaya may challenges kung bakit mababa casualty na NDRRMC compared to PNP? Yes, napaliwanag nga po yan ni Asik Monilla. And what is the process of verification? Kasi po yung ating proseso ng pagtukoy nitong mga fatalities natin, hindi lang po ito yung dahil may nakita pong katawan. Ito po, aside from that, bini-verify pa po yung pagkakakilanlan ng tao. Kailangan po may certificate. Katibayan noong sirkumstansya din po ng pagkasawi nitong ating kababayan na natagpo ang sinawing palad. Lahat po yan ay sinasagawa hindi lang ng isang ahensya ng pamahalaan, bagkus ito po ay tulungan ng iba't ibang ahensya sa pangunguna po ng Department of Interior and Local Government po natin. Other questions? Although may tinatanong din po, is it fair to say this has been the most destructive typhoon to hit the Philippines since Yolanda or Haiyan? Siguro sa taon po na ito, ito ang pinakamalupit na bagyo na ating dinanas. Kasi mayroon naman po mga bagyo na noong previous years na nagkaroon din po tayo ng matinding devastation. Pero ang mas tinututukan po natin talaga dito on the part of the NDRRMC, if Asik Monilla will agree with me, is the continuing strengthening of our preparedness at saka yung pagpaninigurado po natin na marami tayong mga kababayan na maiaalis natin sa panganib at hindi sila madidisgrasya. If you'll notice po, although the figures are piling up when it comes to our casualties, dito po sa atin kasi nakikita po natin in communities, isa-isa, 2, 5 per barangay, in a municipality, yun po ang nakikita natin na mga nasawi, mga nadisgrasya. Pero hindi pa naman po natin na-encounter ngayon so far na, for example, in one particular municipality ay umaabot po ng, or isang barangay, isang municipality, parang daan po kaagad ang namamatay. This shows that the local government units have done their part when it comes to preemptive evacuation, the preemptive evacuation of our populations at risk in those locations. Ms. Jonah, I was able to give the breakdown of nationalities po kanina sa pag-uulat. I will have Elisha, our media liaison, to provide the listing ulit mamaya. Are we getting any help from our foreign partners, and in what form? Meron na po bang ganun, Asik Monilla? So far, wala pa tayong
naman dyan, hindi pa naman tayo nag-open for foreign help because the government can by its own sustain the response effort and even the rehabilitation effort of these areas na affected ng Odette. But the UN Office for the Coordination on Humanitarian Assistance sent a letter already, offering their technical expertise and other help that they can give locally, Because merong country team yan sila dito. They have an OTCA country team or the UN country team that stays here. So actually, we allowed them to go with us in the conduct of the assessment. I hope it was already signed by SNB. No? I met the stating this na hindi pa na-firma. But there was this offer. No? And we are evaluating. Yun na lang siguro. And yung kanilang offer. But foreign help coming from the outside, wala po.
Thank you, Asik Manila, sir. At ito nga po, ang maganda po dito, ang ating mga kaibigan, mga bansa at mga international organizations, maaga pa lang, in the middle of our operations, ay sila po ay nagpahayag na ng kanilang kahandaan na tulungan po tayo as of this in these operations. But so far, kagaya nga po na sinabi ni Asik Munilla, we welcome these declarations coming from our allies, but ngayon kaya pa naman po natin at patuloy po na ini-exhaust ng pamahalaan ang lahat po ng mga resources na ito natin upang matugunan itong mga pangangailangan ng ating mga kababayan. We have another question from Reuters, our friend Ms. Karen Lema. Hi sir, what is the government's approach to climate change adaptation versus mitigation? How much of a priority is it given the vulnerability of coastal communities to extreme weather, rising sea levels, and climate change?
Well, we have a task force, no? Task to study the climate change and NDRRMC. So, pinagsama po yan. Ang head niya is the Secretary of Environment and Natural Resources. So itong task force po na ito sila yung pinag-meet po nila yung effort natin in NDRRMC and climate change dahil magkaibang meron tayong commission on the climate change in its body, and we have the NDRRMC. So na-address po naman yan. For us, both the Climate Change Commission and the NDRRMC addresses the targets doon sa SFDRR, sa Sendai framework, no, for disaster risk reduction. And doon naman po naka-specify what are the interventions that would be required to be able to reduce yung mga impact sa ating population, sa ating economy, sa ating infrastructure, and reduce yung epekto ng climate change, no? And increase cooperation with other nations within the locality, development of plans. So ito po, pinagtutulungan po ito ng and kung makikita niyo po, I guess we had a press briefing before on the NDRRM plan 2020 to 2030. Ito na po yung komprehensibo natin na plano that is aimed at achieving resilience, no, at by 2030. So lahat po ng ahensya ng gobyerno is tasked to monitoring yung kanilang compliance dito sa mga task nila na ito sa NDRRM plan. So hindi naman po yan, hindi yan nakakaligtaan ng ating gobyerno. And kagaya nga nitong ang isa talagang target kasi ng Sendai framework is to reduce the casualties, no? That's why kaya hina-highlight namin early on we warned the local government unit kung alin yung mga magiging apektadong area. Nabanggit kanina ni Sir Mark that 1,000 barangays have been identified na dadaanan itong and ito kasi yung pinaka-prone sa flooding and landslide, and they were advised to do preemptive evacuation sa mga lugar.
Thank you, Asik Manila, sir. And let me add po that continuing po ang efforts, the efforts for climate change adaptation mitigation are being done alongside our disaster risk reduction and management. Kagaya po ng sinabi ni Asik Munilla, we have the cabinet cluster on climate change adaptation at sila pong nangangasiwa po niyan. Part of the yung mga outputs po or accomplishments po nito, yung ating malawakang pagtatanim ng mangroves, the mangrove reforestation activity sa coastal areas, yung pagtatanim po ng mga puno in the riverbanks in areas that had been affected by disasters before to assist in the maintenance of the waterways po, yung natural waterways po natin, the passage of different laws dito po sa Pilipinas when it comes to natural conservation as well as in the management of waste dito po sa ating bansa. Thank you for that. There's another question here from Ms. Bea Bernardo. What are the ongoing efforts to restore communication lines in the affected areas of the typhoon? Ang nakakatawa po nito, Asik Munilla, sir, if I may, our counterparts in the telco industry have deployed a number of their teams in advance din, as far as I've heard, para ma-monitor itong mga status ng mga signal towers po nila. At part of the preparations po, yung paghahanda ng kanilang mobile cell sites. If I'm not mistaken, one of the telcos have already set up a mobile cell site, some mobile cell sites in Cebu. Kaya po pansin niyo po, may mga areas po na intermittent ang signal, may areas po na may signal na because of these efforts. Ongoing po ang assessment na ginagawa nila sa kanilang mga cell sites at pagkatapos po nito, susundan po ng pagkukumpuni. The commitment here is to ensure that they can restore services for mobile telecommunications at the soonest possible time for the convenience po nitong mga kababayan po natin dyan. Kasi this is a fact po and this has been observed by at the NDRRMC level. Bumabaha po ng pagtatanong ang mga kababayan natin kung kamusta na po yung mga kamag-anakan nila doon sa areas na naapektuhan po ng bagyo. At ito po ay ating kinokolekta dito sa NDRRMC level at nire-refer natin po sa local government units para the moment po na magkaroon na ng pagbalik ng signal, kasi may libreng patawag nga din po itong mga telcos na ito doon sa areas na yon. Ma-facilitate po yon para kahit paano ma-reconnect itong mga kababayan natin in those areas. The assurance here is that everyone, not just in the telco but also in the power sector, are working around the clock to have all of this action, to have these services restored at the soonest possible time. Ang aming pong pagtingin, kasi yung iba nagsasabi baka 3 months pa daw abutin, lagpas pa daw ng Pasko. I guess what they're giving is the worst case scenario of how long it will take to fully energize itong mga communities na to or to restore communication lines. But we're holding on to that, even to that fact that they mentioned na they're going to do their best to have all these services restored at the soonest possible time para sa mga kababayan po natin. Another question, Palawan is where Odette exited and there are areas there that were flattened. How are we responding to affected areas in Palawan?
Well, based sa report ng ating Region 4B, no? Sa ngayon ang nag-a-address ng ng mga needs nila doon, the Palawan provincial government and Region 4B, no? Ito nga yung mga areas, kung napansin niyo the previous, yung last na na bagyo, wherein dumaan din sa Palawan, nagkaroon sila ng casualty, no? Nagkaroon ng flooding, nagkaroon ng may nalunod, no? But this time, Palawan had the initiative to preemptively evacuate this area. Kaya wala kaming, as of now, wala pa rin kaming na-receive na official report, no, from the region of a casualty diyan sa Palawan. So of course the long-term rehabilitation of the place will be done by the agencies of government. Ang focus natin sa ngayon kasi is the immediate response sa operations doon sa affected population para maski pa paano mapaalwa natin yung kanilang mga kalagayan sa ngayon, no? So yun muna ang immediate concern ng ating ginagawa.
Opo, and sir, we received information, if I may add, this is courtesy of Assistant Secretary Goddess Libiran of the OTR, that prior to the arrival of Odette in Palawan, nagpreposition po ang ating Coast Guard ng dalawa pong kanilang sea assets, si BRP Cape Engaño and BRP Capones in Palawan. BRP Cape Engaño departed Puerto Princesa today, I think, if I'm not mistaken, en route to affected areas to deliver relief goods supplied by the Provincial Disaster Management Office. So tuloy, meron pong response na nangyayari doon to support the relief effort doon sa na pinangungunahan ng mga local government units. There's also an ongoing effort to restore communication lines doon sa area. Sa ulat nga po, sa paunang ulat na binigay ng ating Regional Disaster Council covering Mimaropa, meron pong silang nabalitaan na casualty doon, but this is still being verified through our counterparts po doon sa ground. Check ko lang, sir, sandali sa dami ng message na ko po. Ano ba itong memo na to ng casualty? Dali.
Pero based sa report ni
Director Karandang, sir.
Merong unidentified na no? Unidentified. And they are verifying it. Correct,
sir. Three cadavers were found in Rojas, Rojas City. I think Rojas, in the municipality of Rojas in Palawan. And there's an ongoing effort to verify the identity as well as to determine the situation, the circumstance of death of these three unidentified persons pa as of this point. So yan po yung paunang impormasyon na nabalitaan natin from the Mimaropa area, pero continuing po ang ating effort. In the conversation that I had with Director Karantang yesterday, I think he was also talking with ASIC Manila on this one. So far, they had no casualties sa Marinduque, Romblon, Occidental Mindoro, and Oriental Mindoro. The PNP covering Mimaropa deployed teams in Puerto Princesa, Palawan, but we have not received any report of casualty as of this point in Puerto Princesa. We are still working to restore the communication link between these islands so that the reports of the disaster managers po ay tuloy-tuloy na makapasok po to the Disaster Council in Mimaropa going here to Central. May tanong si Sir Dano, ilang Singaporean national? So far po, ang nakita ko lang po, isa lang po itong Singaporean national na ilista po. Pero ongoing pa po ito on the part of the Coast Guard. Nasa pag-uusap po natin ngayon na nagpadala po kami ng follow-up po kung meron pa tayong mga kababayan. Kasi may mga naabutan, Sir Asik Monilla, may mga naabutan na kababayan tayo, local tourists din, na nakauwi na over the weekend. So that means the travel arranged, the support for these travelers done by the Coast Guard and I believe supported by the Navy as well para makapunta sila sa pinakamalapit na operational na airport ay patuloy po na sinasagawa ngayon. So makakatanggap po tayo ng balita niyan as reports come in. At what point will the government allow foreign help? Hindi naman po natin pinipigilan po ito talagang foreign assistance po na ito kasi usually po pag nagsabi po sila they're ready to help, wini-welcome po natin yan. Kapag nagpadala talaga sila po ng tulong, wini-welcome din po natin yan at tinatanggap po ng ating pamahalaan susuriin po itong mga pinadalang items po na ito at atin po itong inuugnay doon sa mga pangangailangan ng mga communities. So ito pong proseso po na ito ay tuloy po na ginagawa in coordination with, if it's a foreign government po, through the assistance po yan lagi ng ating mga kasama sa Department of Foreign Affairs. There's another question po, Asik Munilia. During Friday's NDRRMC presser, you said you did not expect massive damage, but it appears that is not the case, sir. Was there something the government was not able to anticipate or see at that time? And did the government anticipate rapid intensification of Typhoon Odette? Is there anything about the forecast being way off for this storm?
I guess wala tayong problema with the forecasting. It has been ang forecast naman ng Pag-asa was clear, no, and factual, and tama naman po yun na umabot tayo ng typhoon signal number 4. My statement there then was because of the immediate actions conducted by the local government unit to be able to put as much population out of harm's way. No, nabanggit ko nga sa inyo that DILG and the local government unit follows the Operation Listo protocol. So nasa labas po ng nasa labas pa lang ng ng Philippine Area of Responsibility. Nag-uumpisa na ang mga directive and memoranda ng DILG to local government units to prepare based on the Listo protocol. Naka-specify po yan. Habang papalapit ang bagyo, dumadami po yung checklist na yan for them to be able to undertake. And one of that is the conduct of assessment ng kanilang mga lugar. Actually, we are using the list ng MGB for the landslide and flood zone area. And we also have the localization of the GeoRix PH of PBOX DOST. Dito po, makikita kasi kung yung lugar mo ay apektado. So, these are all being reviewed by the local government. From down, galing sa barangay level, up to the provincial level. So, with these systems in hand, unlike the previous, noong unang panahon na wala pa tayong masyadong develop na mga ganitong protocols. I was really expecting a lower number. And I cannot siguro make conclusions now. No? Bakit nangyari si ganito? Bakit lumaki? Because this has to be studied and investigated. Titingnan natin so that mabalikan po natin bilang disaster manager, makita namin and we will make the proper adjustments in the future para hindi maulit. Because a life that is lost can never be reported back. So it's not just about counting dead bodies, because these are lives lost, no? So at kami po as disaster manager, lagi continually ina-assess namin ano pa ba ang kailangan namin i-improve para mas mailayo natin ang ating mga kababayan sa kapahamakan, because we cannot prevent the occurrence of calamities, no? Darating at darating ang bagyo, darating at darating ang earthquake and even volcanic eruption. But we need to prepare. Preparedness is key. That's why DILG is really hell-bent on doing this para mas mapaghandaan ng mga local government and mas prepared tayo na salubungin. Because without these things, we cannot say na resilient tayo. Di ba? So, I was proven wrong doon sa assessment ko yan na mababa. I was expecting a lower number. And as it appears now, coming from the reports, sabi nga ni Sir Mark, is, those are projections na tinitingnan natin na probably yun ang number talaga ng ating casualties. And to add, meron akong nakita kanina is the 3 na nandun sa report ng ni Maropa would be counted. Yes, nandun po yan sa ano to. It should have been placed doon sa 58 na ni-report ng ating NDRRMC of 10 because this number is still for verification. So hindi po natin iiwan ang ano na yan because nakita yan and it's still being investigated para ma-identify natin pagkakailan na sa mga tayo nito at malaman ang circumstansya ng kanilang pagkamatay.
Thank you very much, Asik Monilla, sir. Although, yung alala ko doon sa conversation natin during the press con was initially there was no report of massive damages pa during that time kasi we're still waiting for the reports of the local government units, and the disaster managers were telling us that so far wala pa pong report of major damage, and I guess that was an initial perspective given by Asik Monilla that kasi dito kami sa NDRRMC po, ang ating pong although we look at the worst case scenario in our preparations, we're always hoping po na sana hindi ganoon katindi ang maging impact ng isang emergency like a storm to our communities. Kaya po I would like to put into context siguro yung sinabi ni Asik Monilla noon that in that preliminary stage of our monitoring, we continue to hope that we were hoping and we continue to hope that these damages, although we're seeing right now na gano'n ka talaga katindi yung damage, but at the initial stage we were always hoping po na hindi gano'n katindi along with the casualty count. Kasi kahit alam niyo naman po, ang target natin is 0 casualty. Kaya kahit isa lang po yan, masakit po sa amin. Paano po kung umabot na nga po, kagaya doon sa mga projection na nakikita natin na more than 100. This means that even though there so much preparations have been done by the national government, coupled with the preparations done by the local government, meron pa rin po talagang dadaling pagsubok itong mga emergency na to, na talagang susubukan yung ating kakayahan sa disaster management. What we would like to highlight now is that hindi naman po nangyari, di ba kino-compare nila Asik Monilla, sir? Some people are comparing it to Yolanda because of the degree of devastation. Some people are telling us that yung period na nangyari itong si Odette, parang kagaya kay Sendong noong panahon. Ewan ko kung nasa Mindanao kayo ng mga panahon ni Asik Monilla. It was still during your incumbency in the AFP pa, di ba? But the difference here, the stark difference, if I may be allowed to say, is that in Yolanda and in Sendong, we lost thousands of people upon the arrival of the storm. Si Sendong, dumating siya gabi. Ang dami din niyang pinatay nung gabi na yon. Si Odette po, dumating din siya ng gabi, tumawid sa kalupaan ng Pilipinas gabi. Marami pong naapektuhan, but ang konsuelo sa amin po dito sa disaster managers natin is that hindi naman po umabot sa ganong karami ang mga nasawi compared to Sendong. Malungkot na meron po tayo mga napapabalitang nasawi, pero ang ginagawan po natin ng paraan yan para yung mga kasamahan po natin na nakasurvive doon sa ground, marespondehan po natin lahat ng pangangailangan po nila. Kaya doble kayod po ang lahat ng ahensya ng pamahalaan for that purpose. Thank you po. Sir, another question. Sir, clarify lang po, do we add the 3 recovered bodies in Rojas, Palawan to the 58 dead reported? Hindi pa po natin hindi pa po kasama yan doon sa 58 as of now. Kasi
wala pa yan sa 58. Unidentified yun di ba?
Yes, sir. Kaya hindi ko pa masabi na kasama siya sa 58. But
I was of the idea that since kasama ito for verification yung 58 because we only have 4 confirmed.
Yes, sir. But so far, pa lang po ito But as of now po, to our counterparts, to our friends in the media, hindi ko pa po gustong isama itong 3 na ito. But I'm not sure whether the operations center had already included that. Kasi parang...
We will ask them, no?
Yes, sir. But as of now, the reporting pa rin po. For the purpose of the reporting, 58 po muna tayo. But these numbers are sure to change as the hours go by as we receive reports coming from the regions. Ms. Karen also said, sir, if the 208 figure reported by police is confirmed, will that make Odette the deadliest since Haiyan? Parang, sir?
Sabi ko nga, I cannot, the circumstances, sabi mo nga, the circumstances and the events that took place are, so I cannot make conclusions now.
Pero I think, sir, because of this degree of devastation, sure na mawawala na sa listahan ng pangalan ng bagyo tong si Odette because of the damages that we have incurred coming from this storm. But it's too, I guess it's too early to say. But
we just accept the numbers as it appears now. No, let us do not make conclusions because marami pa pong gagawin dyan to assess what went wrong. No? Ako, nasasaktan ako. Speaking on my personal view, as a disaster manager, nasasaktan ako sa ganito karami. No? I would have wanted a lesser number, kagaya ng sinasabi ko nga. And we cannot conclude anything now. It would take time for us to be able to investigate and identify what were the loopholes of the plan. What were saan tayo nagkamali? Or ano ang nagkulang? Not really nagkamali, but ano ang nagkulang when it comes to this casualty? So, it is just 208 casualties kung confirmed talaga yan, no? Because we will surely invite the agencies in the upcoming press con na ina-arrange niya, Sir Mark, para ma-clarify natin sa kanila what were the basis ng kanilang mga data, no? And also with other agencies na tasked in the conduct of response operations para mapabilis kanilang mga services sa ating mga kababayan, sa mga apektadong. So ako, I won't make conclusions now na ito yung second, no? Because there might be some other things.
Tama naman din po yung sinabi ni Asik Muglia kasi parang maaga pa nga, sir. Given although what Ms. Karen is asking is projection.
The number, because of the number. No?
Kasi po, although ito po...
contentious pa rin yung 208 kasi. No?
Correct. Kasi sa
number that we just evaluate it as a number attributed to the report of the PNP. And the NDRRMC will still have to talk about it and finalize it. So, hindi pa siya ganun ka.
Meron din kasing instance, Asik, if you can remember, na pag ganitong panahon, given that we have communication problems, sometimes it happens na yung isang casualty nare-report ng 4 o 5 beses and unknowingly, ang ating mga local counterparts, binibilang nila to not as a single casualty but multiple casualties, and that raises the significance or the importance of the verification procedure. Doon po natin kasi minsan nakikita na number one, napabalita pa lang patay, inuulat sa police, but later to find out that the person is just missing and was later found elsewhere in an evacuation center. So, kumbaga, hustisya din po dun sa mga kababayan nating buhay na hindi po natin agad binibilang yung ganitong mga impormasyon hanggat sa makaabot po tayo sa yugto na talagang sigurado po ang ating pagbilang. So, there. Do we have questions in the social media posting. So, okay. Asik Manila, sir, do we have further questions, ladies and gentlemen?
Maganda pong antabayanan natin yung ino-organize or at least na pag-usapan namin, Mr. Mark. I hope this will materialize. That in succeeding press briefing by the NDRRMC, we will invite the other agencies that are concerned, no? Na dapat magbibigay sa atin. Para iisa na lang din ang reporting natin. Focus on the event that transpired. So, we will do that. And mas magandang po yun. Mas magandang makapag-participate tayo doon para magkaroon tayo ng mas klaro na idea on the extent really of this of the damages of Odette, no?
Thank you, Asik.
Ako meron akong mga naiisip na kupal din on the damages, no? But I cannot share it with you because personal view ko yun and I'm not an expert on infra, di ba? Pero may ko dyan, may mga personal views ako dyan but I would like to reserve it to myself.
Thank you very much, Asik Manila, sir. Nakatanggap din po tayo ng mga impormasyon ng ating Pangulo po ay patuloy na nag-iikot sa mga apektadong probinsya. Ang ating nga pong Executive Director, Yusek Halad, even though he really wanted to join us here with Asik Manila, mukhang nandun siya sa Visayas ngayon, sir, as part of the activities for the inspection.
Kanina, nasa Iloilo siya eh, no?
Nasa Panayay.
I guess, pumunta na siya ng Negros, no?
That's
so,
correct.
In compliance din doon sa order sa kanya ni Presidente. Actually, when we had the first, di ba? We had the first briefing sa kay Presidente, sabi niya our Executive Director assured the President that he will be moving the following day, immediately the following day. So, magkasama sila ni Secretary Andanar, pumunta kagad sila ng Siargao. Then after that, hindi na po bumalik si Yusek Halad. Marami siyang activity rito na
yes, sir. Pero what's important here, sir?
All of this the position na talagang ikutin niya yan. And pagbalik niya, hopefully, we can invite him to join us sa ating press briefing po para ma-share niya sa atin yung kanyang experience, yung kanyang obserbasyon doon sa mga lugar na kanyang napuntahan.
Yes, sir. At part din po ng pagdalaw ng ating Pangulo doon sa mga areas na naapektuhan po ay mayroon pong delivery din. Kasabay po ng Pangulo dumadating ang delivery ng mga augmentation relief items doon sa mga locations po na yan. At patuloy po itong mangyayari. Wala na pong mga tanong ng ating mga kasama sa media kaya nagpapasalamat po tayo. Of course, kay Asik Manila na sinamahan tayong muli. Natutuwa ako at hindi ako mag-isa na dito. At tuloy po ang ating pag-uulat sa ating mga kababayan tungkol po sa ating isinasagawang operations para responde at tumulong sa mga naapektuhan po ng Bagyong Odette. Nagpapasalamat po tayong muli sa mga kasamahan natin sa pamamahayag. Dahil kayo po ang nagpapaabot, ang nagiging tulay para maabot po ng ating mga babala, mga ulat at mga gawaing pangangalaga at pangkaligtasan ng ating mga kababayan. Kaya po kung sa kabila po na may ganitong mga developments na meron tayong mga kababayan na nasawi dahil po dito sa bagyong ito, gusto ko pong tingnan din yung more than 400,000 na katao na nag-evacuate dahil dininig po nila ang ating panawagan for preemptive evacuation at sumunod sila sa ating mga local governments. Itong pag-evacuate ng mga kababayan po nito, more than 400,000 people po yan, ay nagtagumpay nangyari kasi po sa tulong po ninyo, mga kasamahan natin sa media, na ipinaabot po ninyo ang ating mga pakiusap sa kanila. At tuloy-tuloy po nating babalikatin ito pong operations na ito for Typhoon Odette. Asik Manila, sir, do you have a final word to our friends before we conclude this meeting?
I don't have any final words, but magpasalamat lang din ako ulit, no? Sa ating media partners. I guess medyo nahihirapan din po kayo, no, to evaluate yung data from other sources and data from us. Rest assured that we are doing our best to be able to put the alignment ng mga reports na ng lahat ng agency. And patuloy po ang NDRRMC sa kanyang pagpapatupad. Ang OCD, ang role po kasi ng OCD dyan, sa NDRRMC, kami po yung pinaka-secretariat. So kami yung repository ng mga information. But it's really very hard to get reports sometimes, especially yung connectivity ng ang ibang agencies din hindi kaagad nagbibigay ng reports because ayaw din nila mag-submit sa atin ng partial reports. So in the coming days, we will be able to address this. I hope that you will attend again next na invitation ng ating PAO. Hopefully, it would be the joint press briefing with other NDRRMC agencies. Thank you very much po sa inyong time and effort na patuloy na suportahan kami and makuha yung data at ma-dish out sa ating mga kababayan yung balita. Maraming salamat.
Thank you very much, Asik Monilla, sir. And sa mga kasamahan po natin, dyan po nagtatapos ang ating press briefing. Pero bago po kayo umalis, ito po ang mga official na contact details natin para sa ating donation coordination activity dito sa NDRRMC na pinangungunahan ng Office of Civil Defense at ng Department of Social Welfare and Development. Ayan po ang ating mga official na numero at yung mga priority needs po ng ating mga kababayan, yan po ang ating talagang kailangang maihatid sa kanila. Ano-ano po ba yan? Mga food supplies, hygiene materials, isama nyo na po yung mga face masks, shelter materials kagaya po ng mga tents, shelter repair materials at lalong-lalo na din po ang tubig. Ito pong mga numero na ito ay meron po tayong mga kasamahan dito na laging nag-aantabay para masagot po ang inyong mga katanungan. Hindi po mangyayari na kami ang tatawag sa inyo dahil ang ating focal person po ay ang siyang tinatawagan at siya po ang magko-coordinate ng inyong mga assistance na gustong ibigay sa ating mga kababayan. Hindi po kami ang tatawag. At kapag meron po kayong mga donasyon na salapi, cash donations can be deposited to OCD through our Development Bank of the Philippines account in Camp Aguinaldo. Yan po yung mga details namin, Philippine Peso account and US dollar account. Tandaan po natin, pag tayo po mag-donate, dun po sa mga trusted po natin, yung mga lehitimong mga organisasyon na tumutulong pag ganito pong mga panahon. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, atin pong tinatapos ang ating pulong balitaan. Salamat po muli sa ating mga kasamaan sa media at magkita-kita po tayo muli bukas kapag we will be issuing the necessary media advisory po para sa ating susunod na press briefing. Again, marami pong salamat at patuloy po tayong mag-ingat at magtulungan. Balikatin po ito, ang pagsubok na ito ni Typhoon Odette. Maraming salamat po at magandang hapon po sa lahat.